So, X-Men Dark Phoenix. First film to be distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, which is very weird. Like, they had like 2 weeks to change the distribution. That's probably why everyone's confused. I don't even remember if there was like a Disney logo in the beginning. Um, so my initial reaction was like, why are people complaining about it being the first Disney, the last Fox film? Like, there was only 2 weeks notice. There's no way you can reshoot that. You can blame Disney for not reshooting it because like they were technically in charge of it at the time. Um, that being said, I wanted it to be better than X3, and they did adapt it. It's interesting to say the very least. There's a lot of places to go with this. They spent a lot of money on this film. 100 million. It felt a little cheap. So everyone liked Days of Future Past. They didn't like Apocalypse. I mentioned it before. Like, there's a lack of character development for Storm, not Phoenix and Jean Grey, Scott Summers, Jubilee, and some of these characters are not even in this film. That's weird. Why didn't they do that? It's a little weird that they do the space mission. I mean, first off, after the if you really want to nitpick Apocalypse, don't nitpick that it's not the last Fox film. It doesn't end on a good note. Like, say that you wanted a First Class 2 or Days of Future Past 2. I think I might notice when I was looking at the film. Those are the endings what made it good. I don't really remember the ending. I don't think it was that memorable. There's a cameo in the end or something. I don't really remember. Don't wait to see. I didn't think it was as good as Hellboy. Hellboy is a lot better. Probably the A+ comic book film of the year. Endgame was better, and I don't even like Marvel. There's a lot of criticism of the films and the reshoots, and I would say they were an issue. I'm getting to that a little bit. So it was a little weird. Like, you're starting with everything revolves around three people in the franchise so far. The 2010s franchise, it's 2019 now, 2011. Mystique, Xavier, Magneto. Xavier is a supporting character. Mystique is sort of a main character, and then spoilers alert, and then Magneto just shows up in the end to be in the finale. And despite the fact that they spent like $200 million on the film, and like, you don't need to spend $200 million on a film with special effects now, it felt like they were very low on budget. A lot of the characters from Apocalypse were missing. Some of it has to do with the ending, actually. I felt like, because they tried to end it, like, it felt very awkward. They talk about Xavier retiring. Jean Grey, school gets named after Jean Grey, and she's alive for some reason. So I don't see why they do that. I guess she becomes the new master, headmaster, or teacher. Xavier's like a very good teacher voice, like a very Mr. Rogers-like figure. Jessica Chastain's character is also introduced basically when Michael Fassbender's character is. I believe it's like a 100-minute film, also, which is extremely short for 15 minutes. Extremely short for an X-Men film, especially in 2011. They don't establish. So they do the Phoenix scene, where she gets her powers, and this is the beginning. And so X3 is pretty bad. It was done by Brett Ratner. This one was done by Simon Kinberg, and maybe he didn't know how to manage the budget properly. It was his first film, and it was a big blockbuster, and there was issues with that. With all the stuff that I mentioned before about character development and issues. Jean Grey in the beginning, well, first off, they introduced Jean Grey, and then she gets the Phoenix powers, and then there's no stakes for it. I don't feel, if she had died, I wouldn't have cared, because, they don't really establish the Scott Summers thing that well. They just cover the Xavier thing a little bit. They go for this whole Jean Grey using telekinesis to car accident that kills both her mother and father. Charles Xavier trains her. I don't even know if that makes sense in the continuity of the film, the last film they showed up, because they even, I guess they were on the school grounds, I guess. So I guess that's what happened. They met. That's how he met Jean Grey. Scott Summers and Jean Grey have no chemistry in this, in an Apocalypse. They go for the Beast and Mystique stuff, which is pretty good. It helps when they had to do that, otherwise when, spoilers alert, with Mystique, it would have felt even worse, because, Magneto's not there. No one feels good about it. They really haven't mentioned how Mystique has been Xavier's stepsister this whole time, and they don't mention her in any films except First Class. So they're trying to use Hank to be Wolverine. They don't have Wolverine in this. There's a lot of problems re-editing the script to fit it this way. And then Nightcrawler and other X-Men who aren't important to the plot just disappear for no reason. It's a mess. I won't say it's a horrible film. It feels like a waste of time, but it's not Twilight waste of time. It's I like to compare the differences between this and X3. The tone is right, but they do a lot of stuff where they don't know what's good with the 2010s X-Men franchise. They took a risk from First Class to Days of Future Past. They take too many risks, and they're too short and not blockbuster enough that they pay off. Storyline wise, they're not as exciting either. If Marvel Cinematic Universe didn't even exist, people won't even care this happened. I don't know. I guess people were shocked by Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man that they complained, and then they had them during the Marvel Cinematic Universe that happened. But I don't know, X-Men, they've been around for a while. I don't know if they would have complained if MCU didn't exist. And I'm not even an MCU fan. I'm more of an X-Men fan. X-Men makes a film every 1 year, 2 years also, so they're bound to make a bad film too. MCU makes a bad film, no one cares. X-Men makes a film that's a mess, and then everyone jumps all over it. think First Class. X-Men was never like in the face of everyone like First Class. Like there's a First Class in this Future Past, but like I never felt like it was as pop culture-y as what about this show been like MTV Movie Awards and stuff like Marvel Cinematic Universe has. I haven't even watched the MTV Music Movie Awards to see if that has the same stuff. It doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't. I mean, I don't. They can't really make a Jean Grey school of good the children because like they don't establish her relationships with the rest of the characters that well. It's cool how like she ends up saving the world in the end. They introduced Jessica Chastain too late. I think Simon Kinberg just shouldn't should have made a shorter film first before this, and like they needed a lot of help re-editing this film. I thought Fantastic Four was a better film. There was good stuff in that. It just wasn't complete. The ending wasn't complete. Um, I mean, yeah, I don't really care about comic books that much that I care like this didn't work out. They did the space stuff pretty well. Sure, they didn't. They should have done that in like the '60s, opposed to like whatever year this is now. I couldn't figure out who that president was, but other than that, the space stuff sort of made sense. They had a mission to go in space. They had to save somebody, and they were X-Men, and they were some of the government. It didn't feel awkward, like too comic booky, like comic book weird or anything. They're just trying to make stuff happen to like sell comic books. Like, it felt like very natural. Eric Lyncher wasn't. They made him like pure evil in this. He wasn't. He wasn't very interesting. It wasn't like they don't make him a sympathetic character at all, which is not what you want to do with Magneto. It just happened, I guess, like in video games and stuff. But like, I'd rather you not do that way, especially in the 2000s, 2010s even. What did they do with Beast in the second half of the film? Oh yeah, he becomes the teacher. She, she's like, I guess he's the older one, so that's why he's the dean. Scott has nothing to do. Was she an alien race? I didn't know that's what she was. It was very weird. That didn't make any sense to me. I didn't notice that. That's what Wikipedia says. She wasn't really a villainess. I mean, she's just in the movie, like 75% into the film. I mean, I don't believe in pacing, but like it was like basically the Phoenix should have been the villain, and then they added Jessica Chastain in it for no reason. So I heard the film, and there's a very big disconnect there. So yeah, basically it's all Simon Kinberg's fault. I'm guessing because like he didn't manage the characters, he didn't manage the story. I don't believe in pacing, but like you can't introduce characters that far into the film. It's not like it's that easy. Like when you're actually doing a film, it's probably a lot harder. But like, yeah, that's the problem with the film. What are your thoughts, like I'm Scrub?